Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back to Mega Man the Wily Wars. We're not done yet, because now we're going into probably the most LP game of all time. It's Mega Man 2. And you might be wondering why this is showing up in Japanese here. Well, I've actually been playing the Japanese version of this game, otherwise known as Rockman Mega World. For some reason in Mega Man 1 on this version it was showing the text at the end in English, but in Mega Man 2 it shows the text in Japanese, so not sure what's going on in terms of consistency there or whatever, but you know, video games. See, this version of the game, like the remake on the Mega Drive, I didn't actually go into this in the first game, but this isn't actually a direct port in terms of story, because the story in the Wily Wars overall is that Dr. Wily has actually invented a time machine and gone back in time to basically retry the things that he did in Mega Man 1, 2 and 3, which doesn't seem like the most logical plan given how well that kind of failed for him the first 3 times, you know, but Wily never learns. But yeah, we've got the same 8 recognisable Robot Masters, and I'm making a point of going in a slightly different order to how I did when I LP'd the NES version of this game. I'm going Flashman first, and Flashman stage, I really like what they've done with the visuals for this, because it just looks so much more, well, I guess it looked pretty interesting in the NES one, but I just like this kind of soft blue tone they've got going on. It just looks really pretty, I think. And of course these enemies are still kind of annoying, and because I'm going this first I don't have the crash bomb, so I can't kind of take some of the other alternate routes. But nevertheless, let's just keep going. I also kind of like Mega Man's theme overall in this game. I know the Megas did their take of it, which was kind of a ship tease kind of thing with Mega Man and Flashman, which is a pretty interesting take on it. Like the whole enemies but there's something there kind of tone, but I'm getting distracted already. Yeah, so if you take this top route here, even though I don't have the crash bomb for the end, you can still get the E-Tank that they've given there. And that's actually something that was new in Mega Man 2, the E-Tanks, because Mega Man 1 didn't have those, and that's why Mega Man 1 can be a little bit of a bitch if you get near a boss door and you're low on health, whereas now you got the E-Tanks that you can use to heal yourself if you start getting a bit low. Yeah, that was really quick, so here's our first boss, which is Flashman. And Flashman, I think his weakness is actually the metal blades, which obviously I don't have here, so I'm just gonna Mega Buster him. And if you're wondering why this is taking me a bit longer than it would normally take, like on the NES one, like when I did that game, Mega Man the Wily Wars doesn't have the kind of normal difficulty that the US and UK versions of Mega Man 2 had, so I'm just having to play the difficult mode, which it's not actually that much more difficult overall. Like, you can't bum rush it as easily as you can normal mode, but in terms of comparing to other Mega Man games, it's actually not that bad. Obviously, for the sake of the playthrough, I did a lot of things in like several takes so I could get a reasonably smooth run, because I don't like wasting time in playthroughs really, but you know. I'm taking a good few hits here just because I'm a little bit reckless with Mega Man games, as you probably saw like from the first run and like all the other Mega Man playthroughs on the channel, but just, it works. As long as I'm doing more damage to him than he's doing to me, I'm fine. And that's him done. It's always so underwhelming how the explosion appears before the music changes. So like, you see like the explosion happen, but like the boss theme's still playing, so it's like, what's going on? And I'm not sure if that's the lag in particular or whether that's just a design choice, but it'd be cooler if you had some like explosion sound effect going. I've got item 3, which is the item that lets you sort of, well, it clings to the wall and climbs up it, so it lets you go up vertical walls. You know, as opposed to them horizontal walls. I'm such a fucking pillock when I talk, but you know what I mean. Let's go on to what is probably actually the hardest of the Robot Masters in Mega Man 2, at least in my opinion. It's Quick Man. But alright, you gotta go fast. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna shout for item 3 here. It just kind of climbs up the wall and lets me get the extra life there, which... This is gonna be like a run where I'm not leaving any deaths in on screen, so it's not really that big of a deal. But if I see something like collectible or whatever, I have to get it. It's just kind of compulsive a lot of the time. I'll try to ignore them when I'm doing runs and that because I don't want to waste time, but if I see the shiny thing, I want the shiny thing, you know? Oh look, it's a light gimmick. We're not gonna see that a lot more in various platformers over the years, are we? Or is it me, or do these like fire robots seem really out of place here? Because we've got like this whole, I guess it's a base, but then suddenly there's this thing throwing fire. Which I guess is probably some kind of health and safety hazard along the lines, I'm not sure. But yeah, this is probably the most infamous section of the level, because this can catch you off guard a bit. Them things come across, I think they actually come across faster in difficult than they do in normal. So I've got in my head how to do it on normal, but now you've got to move that little bit quicker here. And I'm surprised actually that them kind of laser things didn't make the game slow down, given how much else makes the game slow down. But yeah, I'll take what I can get. I'm pretty sure Quick Man, out of all the Robot Masters, was the one who gave me the most trouble in his boss fight. Because his weakness is the flash stopper, but that only drains half of his health. And I'm pretty sure in the US and UK version of Mega Man 2 on the NES, like even in difficult mode, the Mega Buster took away 2 of his hits, but in this it only takes away 1. I might be talking out my arse, but I'm pretty sure that's what happens. But yeah, I'm taking the strategy of doing like all the shit with the Mega Buster first. Then once he's down to about halfway, I can use a flash stopper and that just drains him and there's nothing he can do. And I think he actually moves slower here than he does in the NES version. You can't touch me, you can't touch me. Poor Quick Man, I'd feel sorry for you if you weren't a dick man. So that's 2 bosses down already. I've noticed the boss stages, well I guess the levels in general here, they tend to be a lot shorter than the ones in say Mega Man 3. Because the Mega Man 3 stages normally take probably about 4 minutes a stage on average, whereas here, I don't know, just, I guess it's kind of what you're doing in the stages and make them feel longer. Anyway, Metal Man. It was obvious I was going to come to him fairly early on, because I fucking love this guy's weapon. But yep, there's an E-tank that you can get with no effort whatsoever. This is one thing that's useful with this stage, because some things are kind of annoying to time sometimes, but if I just use the flash stopper, they're not a problem to me at all. And there's these things that come out of the floor and are irritating as always. Like, granted they're useful to kind of grind up for health if you took a few hits early on, but I don't like things that you can't really see coming, I suppose. I love Mega Man's animation when you sort of jump in like a short hallway or a low hallway even. He just sort of hits his head constantly and it doesn't seem to bother him at all. Oh hi, clown enemy. You're not annoying at all. Yeah, that was a dumb move on my part, because now that thing's in my way and I've got to take the hit to move past. I'm such an idiot sometimes. But yeah, Metal Man's stage overall, it's nothing really too challenging. It's just conveyor belts everywhere. And clowns. Gotta have clowns. Now these guys, these are kind of different between normal and difficult as well, because in normal, one Mega Buster shot and they're dead. Whereas in difficult, they take a couple of hits, and in between hits they do this thing where they sort of scatter their body across the level. And that is so, like, difficult to work around, I find. Like, I haven't really got their pattern down of where they throw the things, so they always seem to get me. But yeah, Metal Man's weakness, I know a lot of people go Metal Man first, so they don't need to worry about the weakness and just sort of Mega Buster him. His weakness is Quick Man's Quick Boomerang. They do so much damage to him, as you see here, and because they keep coming back to you, like, you can just take him down with no effort whatsoever. Like that. So one thing with Mega Man bosses is they're basically all a piece of piss if you happen to have their weakness. I guess that's the whole point of having the weakness, and part of the challenging itself is working out who's weak to who. But, you know, once you know who's weak to who, then you kind of take any boss out in less than a minute. Going on to Woodman next. Woodman's one there's a noticeable change in difficulty between normal mode and difficult mode, because if you remember the NES run, I went Woodman first because he's just a few hits with the Mega Buster in that game, but now he's actually, there's some challenge to taking him down, like you have to be somewhat cautious of his attacks. But these bats are still useful for like farming if you need to, which you don't at the start of the level, but I'll be using them for that later on. Because I wanted to try and keep no death run for this game, because I guess this game has been LP'd so many times now. If you're not doing a no death run, it's kind of pointless at this point in time, to be honest, but you know. Now these things, I don't know whether it's a change in just the difficulty or whether it's a change in this particular version of the game, but I find them harder to work around when they shoot their things, because when I was playing it before, they seem more liberal with throwing out these shorter fire bursts, whereas in this one they're throwing out the long fire bursts the whole time, so you can't always make a jump over them. So instead I'll just sort of spam metal blades at them and hope for the best. Which is basically the strategy for anything in Mega Man 2, to be fair, but now I'm on no health, so I'm just going to use these to kind of like fill myself back up. Because that's one thing with Mega Man, like the respawning enemies, I know some people don't like them, whereas they are quite useful for refilling your health if you've been taking a few too many hits. Now, there's things, if you just shoot these things diagonally, you don't need to get hit by them at all. Which I wish I'd known when I started playing this game, because I used to get so irritated with them like monkey enemies. And the bird enemies are the same as well, but they're a metal blade and they're dead, so you ain't got to worry about them either. Suddenly rabbit. There's something like really satisfying about shooting things diagonally and hitting to me. I don't know whether that's me being a bit simple, but I like the idea of I'm completely safe but I can still hit him. And I'm not even bothering trying to time me jump like me walking under them enemies there, so fuck it. And now Woodman. Slow down. Isn't this fun? I believe there's like certain people have found a way to like overclock their Mega Drives and actually play this game without slowdown, but obviously because I'm emulating it as it would play on a normal Mega Drive, I'm having to suffer the slowdown here. But ultimately that shouldn't be a thing really. When they're building a game they should take into consideration the actual technology that people would be playing the game on, you know, which in itself is a Mega Drive because that's what the game's released for. I guess like maybe it couldn't handle all the like extra upgrades that they were putting into the visual style or something, I don't know. I'm not good with technology and I won't pretend to be. Anyways, join me next time. I'll be taking on the remaining Robot Masters. See you then.